You are either watching or listening to The Climb, brought to you by the Digital Mastermind, and I'm John Sarakis. And if you would like to join our tribe of digital agency owners, the Digital Mastermind that is, go ahead and shoot me an email, Jon, Jon, at digitalmastermind.com. Today, we have a fantastic episode. It was a lot of fun. We got to speak with Lee Goff. He's an agency coach. He's an agency mentor. He's done a lot of fantastic things. But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and bring my co-host out here, David McGraw. David.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well, man. Good to see you. Liking how the beard's coming in. This is good. This is a good trend.
Thank you. I'm liking the way it's growing in. Never had one before, so excited about it.
So how long are you gonna go? Have you committed to it?
I don't know. I'm thinking Halloween. I think I might tie it in. I might go as a pirate. Yeah, we'll see.
I know a pirate joke. Yeah. Why are I don't forget the joke. We might edit that part out. I can't even remember the joke. Never mind. Screw the joke.
Punchline is R.
It is R. You're right. Yeah. I can't. It has something to do with movies. Punchline rated R. Actually, let's go ahead and just start this over again. Is that
I'm leaving it in. We're going.
No,
we're good.
All right. I'm going to edit this episode. All right. So Lee Goff. Yep. I thought he added a ton of value to the podcast because he brought he mentions a referral program. So if you're listening to this part, you need to get to that part in the episode. He also talks about that point of no return that I think a lot of people get to when they don't really even understand what it is that they're doing or the path forward. And he came in one day and just fired most of his staff. That's huge. That's a big commitment that you have to make.
I don't know if he fired, but he said that he came in and he was like, you know what? I hate what we're doing. This is the direction we're going. And if you don't like it, there's the door. And some people decided to say, all right, I'm out.
Yeah. But I think logically walking in, being willing to say, all right, I'm getting rid of everybody and we're going to start new is a huge strength.
Well, just the ability for him to recognize that he doesn't like what he's doing on a day-to-day. Like when you're as an agency owner, we've all been there, right? When you're coming in and you regret your day-to-day, if you're not coming into your agency going, yes, I want to do something today. I've been there. Before we merged, I was there. In fact, I think our merger was like to both shake us out of that, zone. I mean, you hate coming in. It sucks. So, and you're still responsible. You still have to be the cheerleader for something you hate. That's the worst. It's like,
and that's a big comment
we've gotten. Work.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's like being the cheerleader without the pom poms. But that's a huge advantage to the Digital Mastermind. I know a lot of people that get really burned down and upset right before that meeting, and then you go, and it's just this pep rally. It's this energizing event that just pulls people together and gives you, no better way to say it, hope in what you're doing, and helps you apply that to your vision. And I think that's a lot of what he helps people with too, is getting rid of those obstacles.
Since we added the bi-weekly call now for DMD,
bi-weekly call, yeah,
I love that. It's like a little dose of. It's good to see everyone. Like, shout out to Jennifer. She posted on her LinkedIn feed a screenshot from our bi-weekly call, and
she's gonna be on the podcast soon.
Awesome. So I'm really excited to see that. I'm glad we added it, but man, am I excited for Las Vegas 2021 DMG. That is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. All sold out.
No chance of expanding.
There's one more. I have to do another follow-up because they're kind of just committed the way they are. But yeah, it wouldn't be a big expansion.
What about the Delta variant?
That's probably working into their decision-making and why they're not letting me expand it more than they have.
Slightly nervous that they're going to use some bullshit to cancel our conference, but God, I hope not.
I don't foresee it. Yeah, I think it's going to continue to go on. Speaking of Delta variant, just this occurred to me. Has Delta done anything with their campaigns?
You mean like the airline?
Yeah, that would be so cheesy.
Yeah.
Man,
I'm surprised they're not freaking out saying, remember when Corona first came out and like the beer was like, the beer Corona company was like, yo, this has nothing to do with us. People thought that when people were talking about Corona, that it was just another slang for like hangover on Monday. Like it came down with the Corona variant.
Yeah. Just think, though, that there's some just either pathological liar or some moron that's at a party and he's like, yep, it's actually because of the beer that this whole thing was named and came out. And people are like, oh yeah, man. Yeah, Donnie's right. And they ran with it.
But it is actually kind of related. I mean,
the king, the crown.
Corona means crown, and it's in the logo of the Corona beer.
Yeah.
So, but our Lee was awesome. I mean, he had so much energy. He was such a good storyteller, is what I'll say.
Good speaker, all around, just fantastic. Just
high energy, entertaining, really interesting experience, honestly, and turning his company around, and then getting it to a point where he could just step out. And isn't that every agency owner's dream, really?
I think to a point, yeah, and have it run well for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You always hear the stories that are like the founder of Starbucks. I can't remember his name. He steps out, everything's great and wonderful, and then you just start seeing all these trends where somebody's like running it into the ground. There has to be some form of a control mechanism, and I'm sure that with Lee's coaching, somebody could get there, because that's also an opportunity that somebody has. You get to hire somebody like Lee because he's done it all. He sold his agency, and he took enough time to speak with us about his trials, tribulations, and successes.
Yeah, it's a great conversation.
Cool. Well, without any further ado, this is The Climb, and this is our interview with Lee Goff. Enjoy. Hi, Lee. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So I'd like to start with your climb. How did you get here?
Well, I woke up this morning and got in front of the camera, so here I am. So no, it actually started in 2000 with the dot. Remember 2000? Everything's going to die. The dot com.
Yeah.
The whole Y2K and the .com bubble and all that stuff. They would hire anyone for a technical position at that point in time. Hence me, and they actually hired me for an engineering role. Again, anybody. I am not an engineer. I have never been able to write one line of code. Still can't to this day. After owning a massive agency, I still to this day can't write one line of code. And so it all started there. I kind of saw, it wasn't called the cloud at the time. It was called servers at the time, but how the server could impact really small businesses. I was sent out into the field to help with point of sale systems for like Chick-fil-A and Burger King and things like that. And they would run all their numbers from their local point of sale straight to corporate every night in a batch kind of thing. And I saw the power of how that centralized communication, again, prereq to the cloud kind of scene, right, could really change the lives of small business owners. I really wasn't cut out for an engineering role, so I resigned from that and got in leadership in a small family-owned business for about 2 years, where I learned a lot about how to leadership and things like that, right? And from there, in 2003, I started my agency. It is this one right here, right there. It's called Get You Wired, and that agency's still running real strong. I founded that in 2003. Wasn't happy with the direction, so I actually gutted the entire company in 2008 to get into a much more proper niche and service product type offering. And then from there, it blew up. It was, multi-million dollar agency, the world's largest Infusionsoft certified at the time. Infusionsoft now Keep certified partner, Entrepreneur Magazine, top company culture, top partner of the year, top technology partner of the year, dozens and dozens and dozens of awards, to the point to where I had as with a lot of entrepreneurs, had some health and family issues and things pop up because, well, I was so focused on the business, I wasn't focusing on some other stuff that I probably should have been focusing on. And so I had to pull back from my business, and so I went down the path of removing myself 100% from my business. That started in late 2012 and was completed about halfway through 2014. And so from 2014, I don't know the exact time frame, somewhere April, May, June, July, somewhere around there, I ran my agency by the numbers. So for the next 2 years, I came into the office 2 hours a week and literally ran the agency by the numbers. We had our leadership team meetings and all that fun stuff. And then I exited the company successfully in June of 2016 and took a little time off to get my health back. I had some health issues pop up. And got my health back, and then in 2017 created what I deemed to be the world's most comprehensive agency business coaching. It's not about how to do Facebook ads or Google ads. It's about how to be how to get your project management systems in place, your KPIs, your sales systems, and all of that fun stuff, right? On the planet, I spent all of 2017 doing that. Hired 2 full-time employees, spent about $250,000 just developing the courses and content and all that fun stuff. And now we have been in business for 3 years as a coaching business. Absolutely love it. Our purpose is to make your life easier, assuming you means agency owners' lives easier. And that's what we do every single day at Lee Goff, your marketing agency coach. So,
right on. That's a hell of a climb there, Lee. Appreciate you sharing, and happy you got the health issues worked out.
Thank you.
The gutting of the agency is the thing that jumps out to me most there. Yeah. What were you doing before? What were you doing after? And then what was the trigger to say, all right, we're scrapping this whole thing?
Well, a little embarrassed to say, because I get in there and I'm the leader, you know what I'm talking about? But I really kind of become beholden to my programming and my designers and all that fun stuff, because I just really didn't know a whole lot about programming or design at that time. I still don't, but I know enough to manage it now. But at that time, I was so focused on just driving revenue and all that fun stuff. So I accidentally ended up in being a kind of a high-level web app, custom programming kind of shop. And I hated it. I mean, I was miserable. It is not who I am. I am a marketing, business development, CEO guy. And I'm just, God granted me with very few gifts in this world. Don't get me wrong, but definitely marketing and all that, helping small business owners and leadership is definitely right at the top of the list. And so I found myself not being able to do really any of that. Okay. I was beholden to a technical team. I was miserable having to sell. When I'd sell it, I'd be like, oh God, my life's about to suck again for the next 6 months, And so I made the decision, the bottom started falling out of the financial markets. And I said, well, everybody's going to be impacted in times like when the financial market crashed out, and COVID has shown in this to be true as well. When the shit hits when it hits the fan out there, people have a tendency to make big decisions, right? And that's what I did. So I literally come in one day at the very beginning of October, first week of October, and tell my entire company that if you do not like marketing, you have 90 days to figure it out. Because come January 1st on 2009, we're pivoting 100% into marketing and marketing automation, meaning we're going to get out there and we are going to make entrepreneurs' lives easier. I kind of stole that one from over there, just put agencies on there, right? Because that's what I do now. That is my purpose in life, is to help other people make other entrepreneurs, whether it be agency owners or just traditional small business owners, lives easier. And so that's what we did. And man, I get excited again. I get passionate again. I love what we're doing. I see how it's making their lives easier, and game on. Here we go. The first 5 years, I was a little shy of $500,000. Jump ahead, less than, I think, 2 years, we had already crushed the 7-figure mark and just kept going and going and going and going from there, right? And so it was a tough decision, don't get me wrong. Very nerve-wracking, like in the middle of the financial markets burning to the ground, right? Everybody's losing their money, and what does this idiot do? He guts his entire company and goes out there and rebuilds it, not from scratch. I kept a few people. A few people stayed on long enough to see if they liked marketing, right? Eventually, everyone left with the exception of 2 people, okay? And at the time, I think we had 10, I think it's about 10 people, 9 or 10 people at the company, and so still real small. And from that point, though, man, I tell you what, we started building out automated systems. We, again, lean into Infusionsoft partnerships, niching out, in other words, in that specific case, a platform. And then we added the industry element to the niche to that platform a couple of years later. And man, it just, like I said, it just started blowing up from there. Just kept going and going and going and kept snowballing until every single year we were growing at a minimum 25 to 50 to 55% without incurring any debt. We were a self-funded organization. So if you go out and take a whole lot of money out, those growth numbers aren't that impressive. But if you're doing it out of cash flow, those numbers are extremely impressive. So,
yeah, I would agree with that. And what was your growth strategy to drive new business? You pivot, you're down to 2 people. How did you pull on new clients?
Organic SEO was a part of it. We did not really do any paid media. I noticed early and often that paid media is a black pit. Okay, if you got to be very, very careful. Now, with that being said, you do have to have a paid media source when your agency gets to a certain level. But truth be told, is we leverage referral partner marketing, and that's what I coach my students on to this day. We did live events, we did referral partner marketing, those type of scenarios. So let me give you a quick example. They don't really do it a whole lot anymore, but Infusionsoft used to pull in their partners and promote it to their entire list. Now they have partners and they'll promote them in their region, but they won't promote them to the planet, right? So it's a little bit different. But we would go out there, and at that time we were kind of the big dog as the agency, and I think they still are. I have to admit I've kind of lost track with a few of them, but and next thing you know is it drops, I think 1,100 registrants in there and had 400 or 500 attendees. And that one event built our marketing database to where we leveraged that database into millions of dollars over the next couple of years, right? Another example is Guerrilla Marketing International, J. Conrad Levinson. We used to do webinars with them all the time. And I want to make sure you understand, these are not affiliate deals. These are not just webinar JV deals. These are referral partner marketing, meaning both parties did an extensive vetting procedure around each other to make sure that it aligned with their brand and their vision and their target audience. Both parties knew each other for well over a year or two before any of this ever happened. Both parties continued to work together. Hell, I'm still working with Keith now, right? And unfortunately, J. Conrad Levinson passed away, or we'd probably still be working together, right? And so referral partners are more like a long-term, I'm going to put my brand, I'm going to hitch my brand to your wagon, and vice versa. And if there are problems, we're going to have open dialogue and communication. If there are successes, we're going to celebrate those together. It's not an affiliate type deal. It's actually a couple of steps higher than that, but one step lower than any kind of legal agreement, right? Makes sense. And so we leverage referral partner marketing to really allow us to grow. Again, we were a multi-million dollar agency with basically 2 sales reps. And so that should probably put it in context. So when these leads came in through these referral partners, they were already hot and half sold. So we didn't need, 5 junior sales reps to go out there and kind of drive leads in the door. We didn't need to pay for ads because we already had them coming in based upon the referral relationships we had. So by far the biggest revenue driver was establishing a healthy partner channel lead source and referral network. And that fed and probably still feeds that agency. And I know it feeds my coaching business to this day.
So how would you recommend somebody build those types of relationships? That's not just like a snap of the fingers.
Man, there's a lot of different ways to go about doing that, and most of the time it actually has a tendency to kind of depend on at what level that partner's at. If you're going to go after rest his soul, Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, you might have to work up to that one a little bit. That might be a 5 to 10 year well hunting experiment, okay? And there's a 1 in 100 chance you're going to get it, even after 10 years, okay? Now, we found that going after some of those, I don't want to say small guys, because the guys we dealt with, these...
That's what I'm saying. Infusionsoft wasn't a small company. So how did you land that? Like, what does that look like?
And at the time, it wasn't super huge. We landed it by performance. We got in there and started selling apps and started delivering, we got involved into the community and entrenched ourselves into the community to the point to where we got it on the radar, right? To where Clayton Mask and Scott Martineau knew who we were because of the numbers in their KPI spreadsheets, right? And so then we had a relationship established, and we can negotiate those kind of things. And then there's another one. There's a real estate agent up in Myrtle Beach for just privacy reasons. I'm not going to give his name or anything, but he's what's called a super agent, and he had a real estate automation package. Hated delivering it. It was built in Infusionsoft. So we were the agency of record that would sell it for him and implement it for him for years. I'm not sure if that's still there or not, but I know we did it for years. And so how we would go about doing that is if you're looking for the answer on how to get started and get something out of the gate, and how I coach my students is I actually have a referral partner kind of hit list, harvesting spreadsheet, and it tells you, there are associations, publications, nonprofits, coaches, vendors, suppliers, you name it, man. Radio stations, virtual live events, and I got it's like 10 or 12 different ways that you should think about finding these referral partners, right? And then you put together that hit list, okay? And then you put together a compelling offer, all right? So in other words, I'm going to bring and when I say compelling offer, you're not going to go try to sell them on something other than the fact that I've got amazing content, and I would be honored if you would allow me to bring it to your audience. No pitch, no nothing, okay? And that's typically how it would get started. And sometimes you got to pay them, okay? So you have a great webinar, and they're a live event deal. They make their money off of getting paid. So pay them the $5,000, get the speaking gig, get out there and do it. Now you have a relationship. The next time that person has an event, there's a damn good chance they'll give you a free webinar before the live event and give you the speaking gig for $2,500 instead of $5,000 because they know you're good and you'll bring it now, right? Makes sense? And so it's not a get rich quick kind of thing. And I just want to throw out a pet peeve. I'm so over seeing the ads from these so-called agency coaches. Click it, make $1 million and get $50,000 in residual income in the next 3 minutes. You know, that is complete bullshit. I mean, that is complete.
You can say whatever you want on this, man.
Okay, I mean, I'm a candid guy, you know, and I mean, you know, man, that is anybody who gives you that fictitious, false expectation level is not your friend.
Yep.
They actually don't give a damn about you. All they care about is this. That is all that's my wallet. There you go. You know, that's all they care about. They want my wallet. That's all they care about. Legitimate coaches are going to tell you this is going to be hard. This is going to consume a lot of time. You will have sleepless nights. You'll probably cry. If you're a real man or a real woman and you're building a business with as much motion involved in building a business as it is, you will probably I mean, it's going to be tough, but the payoff is so worth it. And if you do it right and you build the right kind of referral partner relationships, it will sustain a $5, $10, $20 million agency until you're ready to sell it. Okay. And by having those level of relationships, everybody always talking about the 2X, 3X, 10X, right? Which again drives me nuts. You know what I'm talking about? You got to be positioned so perfectly to even get 1X. And you know what I'm talking about, okay? I mean,
we talk about it all the time. The 10,
oh my,
10X.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, bullshit. That doesn't exist, okay? It doesn't exist. I'm just going to tell you right now. I mean, it does. There's certain, whatever. There are certain SaaS, whatever. There are situations where they get to 10X. There are situations. In the agency space, if you have ever gotten 10X, please call me and let me know, okay? Because I have personally never ever seen an agency get any more than a 3.5 to 5X. And that 5X had a SaaS model and was almost 100% residual repeat income on small products. Therefore, there's no risk, easy to sell, and high profit. Okay? Anyway, I'm not going to get too far down the weeds of how to go through the transaction process there, but that just cracks me up when I hear that crap. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So, if you want to build something of substance, you establish credible, long-term referral partner relationships that at the drop of a dime, you can pick up and say, hey, yo, man, I'm running a little short on leads. I need to drive some leads in the next 90 days. You mind if we do a webinar? I know I owe you a webinar. I know I owe you a webinar or whatever, because a lot of times that's how it works. I'll do a webinar and 6 months later I'll do one for you kind of thing. You know, a lot of times that's how these referral partner relationships work. And so you can call in a favor on a couple of big referral partners. Next thing you know is you're flooded with leads. And so I strongly advise everyone to go out there and make sure you have a super defined target audience niche. It's very difficult to do this in the jack of all trades just type of agency. You almost have to have a defined target audience to be able to effectively do this long term. Put together that list, and again, in my coaching program, we have a referral partner marketing spreadsheet, and I walk you through the whole process, even how to negotiate them and how to get into these media kits and just get all that stuff done. But if you go through that process for about 2 to 3 years, where you will end up is here. You'll end up with 10 to 12 friends, most of the time lifelong friends. Those friends are now your referral partners because you got to know them. You break bread together at the conference every year, 2, 3, 4 times a year. You do 2 or 3 webinars. Hell, you probably get to know. You do vacation. I mean, family. You know, I mean, it's wonderful. Actually, it's wonderful. Okay, you will never get there if you don't put in the time and do the hard work, though. And so, I personally advocate for any agency below $1 million to be aggressive in the referral partner marketing. It's the cheapest and most effective way for you to grow a long-term and highly profitable agency. Now, when you hit that 7-figure mark, things change, okay? And we can talk about that. You will have to get into some paid advertising. You know, there are other, you're going to have to diversify pretty substantially on your lead sourcing, right? But for the majority of agencies out there, and we all know, if you've looked at the numbers, the overwhelming majority of agencies are $1 million or less. Nobody knows the exact number because nobody can actually define what the hell an agency is technically, okay? Now, according to the way we have defined it, we have freelancer, successful freelancer, a small agency, and then small to medium agency. And so most of them fall at that small agency or below, and that's going to be that 1.2 million and below. And referral partner marketing is by far the best way to go about doing that. So,
I like how you differentiate freelancer from successful freelancer.
Two different beasts. Okay, it is freelancer. No offense to any freelancers out there. Most of the time, they're brilliant at what they do. Design, video, whatever it is, right? Matter of fact, they're so brilliant, they can never delegate to anyone else to ever do any of it. So, therefore, you will be stuck in that freelancer realm. You will probably cap out. If you're really good, you'll get to about 100 grand. If you're phenomenal, you'll get to about 200 grand. You will not make it past that point, though. I'm telling you right now, the overwhelming majority of freelancers are living and dying off of Upwork, FreeUp, Fiverr, and they're making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year trying to pay the bills. Okay? Then you get into what's called the successful freelancer. Okay? Meaning they are a freelancer, they do a lot of work, they're brilliant at what they do, but they realize to grow, they had to start outsourcing some stuff. So they typically have a small stable or even a couple of 1 or 2 full-time employees. It's typically 3 to 5 people, one dynamic leader and a couple of friends or contractors or however it manifests itself. And now they're starting to get into that $350,000 to $500,000 range, and they're starting to taste success, just starting to taste success and see like, wait a second, I don't have to do all this shit. Wait a second, man. Wait a second. If I focus on my business skills and my systems and processes skills, I don't have to do all this shit, and I can make a lot more money. Then if they get into that role and they really kind of, for lack of a better term, get hooked on that drug, the entrepreneurial, scalable CEO drug, which I know I was hooked on, and I know you two are. You wouldn't be here if you weren't, right? That's when it gets exciting. That's when it gets a lot of fun, and that's when you can graduate into that small agency scale, that small agency side of things. So,
all right. So how did you go from transitioning yourself out? You had a trigger event. You're like, okay, I need to work less. What did that look like for you?
I was a control freak. I know the things that I'm talking about on this show here. We're not reading. I mean, I do obviously read, but the lessons of which I coach on are not things I read in a damn book last week. Okay, these are things that I've been doing for 20 plus years, and most of the time failed at numerous times. Right. So, the transition for me became a necessity when my father was diagnosed with ALS, and I got very limited time with him. And so it started with me taking 1 week out of every 6 weeks off to go home. I grew up on the beautiful Mississippi Gulf Coast. A lot of people perceive Mississippi as toothless idiots like that. But on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, man, it is gorgeous. I mean, beaches, and it's gorgeous down there, right? And so I would go down there for 1 week out of every 6 weeks and just honestly hang out with him, man, cook, and he couldn't be real mobile, but we'd watch TV or honestly just breathe the same damn air with him. Mm-hmm. So that's what triggered getting this going, okay? And then all of a sudden, my marriage started falling apart, and I'm a very active dad, and me losing half the time with my daughter just was crushing me, and so I had to figure out a way to make all that happen. And I literally bring in at the time, they were my management team, who eventually graduated into my leadership team. And I looked at them, one of the most humbling moments in my life is what I'm about. I mean, I felt like the biggest idiot after this thing. I bring them in, I sit them down. At this point, they'd been working with me, I don't know, 6 years, I think. I think it's about 5 or 6 years at this point. So we all knew each other. We knew each other's family. We knew each other, right? I look at them all dead now. I say, hey, listen, my dad's dying, my marriage is falling apart, and I got to figure out a way to spend more time with my daughter, and I got to, so I have to make a decision. If I continue doing what I'm doing, I'm going to have to scale the agency back. Now, if we want to continue to grow this thing, then I need you three to step up and take over the lion's share of my responsibilities. And here comes the humbling part. They all looked at me like this, like, are you that dumb? You know what I mean? Like, really, Lee? Like, really? what the hell do you think we've been in the trenches with you for the last 5-6 years for in the fucking first place? Like, duh. You know what I'm talking about? And I was like, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You wouldn't have been here in the first, duh, you know? And so it's like, it's just those moments as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you've had a few of them. You're just like, oh my gosh, I was so busy in my own little world. I didn't notice the most obvious thing around me. And that's the three badasses at the time that were sitting in my office, right? I mean, I saw them. I knew, and hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say there. I just got so caught up in the success thing that I didn't pay enough attention to everything around me, right? And so that's how it started. You know, we started out with transitioning, at the time, my senior project manager. I told her the first year in 2013, we're going to transition her into like a vice president of operations, and we're going to develop that position out. And it took a whole year to do it. And then the next year, I did it with the sales and marketing department. I had a third person on my leadership team, but he's a highly technical, like chief technical officer. There was nothing I could do to help him transition. He already had that. That was his deal already, right? Okay, so, and so we spent 2 years taking the business side and the sales side, the business/operations and the business development/sales side, spent a year on each one, developing those positions in great detail with great granularity and KPIs. I would not pull myself out of my agency until I could sleep comfortably at night. And if I wasn't doing the work, I had to know through KPIs that it was getting done to the standards that I required. Okay, so it was not like overnight I just walked out. Again, it's not easy. If you build anything of substance in this world, and anyone has ever told you it's going to be easy, they lied. Just go hit them in the head now, because they lied. They lied. I don't know how to say it any clearer. They lied to you, okay? They really did, okay? And so, you know, at the end of the day, that's what it took, you know, and it took a full 2 years, okay? So jump ahead to about, at this point, middle of, 2014, almost at the end of 2000, I can't remember anyway, the end of 2014, going into 2015, at that point is when I handed over the CEO title and basically retired from my agency right around late 2014, early 2015, somewhere. I can't quite remember all the dates. It's been a while now, but and at that point is when I started running it by the numbers, and I ran it by the numbers again for about 2 years, somewhere around 2 years, and then I decided, hey, what am I going to do when I grow up? Let me just sell this thing and go figure out what I want to do when I grow up, right? So,
I love that. Now, you mentioned something in there, managers versus leaders. You said management into a leadership team. That sounds like there's a distinction there. So what does that difference mean to you?
Oh, ownership, responsibility. You know what I mean? So in other words, a manager is like you go out there and say, hey, I need to get this done. And you expect a manager to come back with a few questions and, you know, have hurdles and be afraid to make certain decisions. And rightfully so. They're spending my money. So they rightfully should be afraid to make certain decisions, right? Leadership is whenever you empower them, just give them the damn money and tell them I want to end up in Australia.
Got it.
Right? Okay. Yeah. So management is where, okay. As a matter of fact, I think Eisenhower said it best. I'm going to slaughter this. So if you actually go Google this, it's not going to be exactly what Eisenhower said. But basically, yeah, exactly. Basically, if you want to see the true, true leadership is you don't give a true leader like milestones. That's management. That's task. That's glorified task mastering, right? And this is directly in correlation to D-Day, okay? Because he recognized I can't get in there and throw out a project plan and then manage milestones for these guys. I got 42 generals all over the planet. I can't do that. So I need to give the general the end goal, the money and the resources, and they better wow me with the results. Two completely different entities, right? A manager is overseeing a department. A leader is overseeing, like a department. A leader is overseeing like a company, a business entity. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Absolutely,
so they're like almost their own, for lack of a better term, they're kind of like their own CEO, managing every employee, everything. And then that CEO reports to the board of directors, which is actually eventually where I ended up. I was the only person on the board of directors, but I was the board because I was 100% owner at that time.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. I put her in the CEO position. We would meet, phone call, quick 15, 20 minutes, a couple times a week, just for banter, for what's up kind of stuff. and then for 2 hours a week with the entire leadership team. And all we did was pulled up our real-time KPI dashboard, okay, and we reviewed all of our real-time KPI dashboards, any financial expenditures, any legal issues, any PR issues. They all automatically, no matter what, had to bubble up to me. If any of those happened and I did not have my fingerprint on any of those, okay, and you know the ramifications, legal, PR, and finance, you know what I'm talking about? Those are silver bullets, man. You get a few bad reviews, or you get sued by the wrong person, or your finances get in the tank, you're going to be out of business in about 30. It's going to be pretty quick, okay? It'll be a lot quicker than you want it to be. I'll put it to you that way, okay? So, and so that's what happened. You know, we just started delegating and started putting the KPIs in place. And
what were those KPIs? You mentioned the three that covered the PR, the legal, and the finance. What were some other things on this dashboard?
Man, I actually got them. It was vast, dude. I tell you honestly, you know, I'll give you the top 5, the easy ones, okay? One of them was what's called an OEE, Optimal Employee Efficiency. I can't get into the actual algorithm of it, but we actually wrote a more like a spreadsheet. It wasn't really like an algorithm. It was more like a formula, okay? And every project manager would have to report their numbers into this OEE spreadsheet, and this OEE spreadsheet recorded the performance of the project manager's team and the project manager. So how many billable hours versus non-billable hours, okay? And if it was non-billable hours, was it continuing education? Was it make rights? What was it, right? Okay, so why were we losing money? If you weren't billable hour and you were non-billable hour, for every one non-billable hour, you're actually losing 2 hours of profit. Because you're going backwards and you have to go catch up to go forward again, right? Okay, so that non-billable stuff was a big deal. Now if you ever achieve 100% billable hours, you'll be out of business in about 90 days. I'm going to tell you that right now. You will have a burned out staff. You will have a pissed off staff. It's not going to work. I'm just telling you. You have to run about a 90 to 92% billable, and then the rest is non-billable, because your employees need continuing education. You need team building. You need company meetings, employee reviews. These things are part of business. Yep. Those are non-billable time, right? So, I hit my mic. I don't know how that's going to sound on the podcast. Anyway,
you're going to point.
So OEE was a big one. Okay, billable versus non-billable. Okay, average hourly billable rate. Okay, let's see here. What was lead flow? Okay, so lead sources and lead flows. Where are the leads coming from? Which lead sources are leading into the type of clients that we want? Okay. Then I was a big deal about debt, man. I was a big deal about debt. When I owned the company, we never ran any more than 2% debt of total gross revenue, ever. And again, if you know anything about running a business, when you hear 2% of total gross revenue in debt, you're almost like bullshit. You know what I mean? Like bullshit, dude. I mean, it's not possible. It is possible. It is possible. It probably stunted my growth by a few years. I probably could hit the $1 million mark a lot faster if I decided to go into more debt. But you can also go out of business 10 times faster by going into debt. Okay, so when the financial situation hit, I didn't have any huge loans or anything like that coming after me. You know what I'm saying? I was perfectly fine. I just could run off my cash flow. So it sustained me through that without having any major hiccups. Okay, now and so did I get 5 out there? I got about 50 of them. I think I got 5 out there. Those are some of the big ones right there. Yeah. So yeah.
Those are the big ones. Yeah, those are the ones that can keep somebody up at night. Now, how did you come across these? Did you go through training yourself? Were these like organic? Are you just a brilliant guy?
Great, all the above. Yeah. Great, kidding. Great question, because when we were doing this, there was no such thing as an agency coach. You understand, this is 2008, 9, 10, 11. Agency coaches, there was one of them that had been around for a while, but none of them really came on board until, 2015 or so, I think, somewhere around. I got to go look. I think it's around 2014, 2015 or whatever. So we did not have an agency coach that knew exactly what an agency needed. So we found business owners that I personally respected and wanted to get some mentorship. And we were lucky enough to be asked into what's called the Infusionsoft Elite part or Elite program. What I can't, it's called something different now. And at the time that we were asked, okay, now it's a separate company. So it's if you and by the way, it's still a phenomenal. Sir Brett Gilliland, if you need leadership training, Brett Gilliland over at Elite Elite Forum, Elite Partner Elite program over there is phenomenal. He's great. But at the time, I wanted the real guys. Okay, so I wanted Clayton Mask, I wanted Scott Martiner, I wanted the CEO, founders, and leadership team directly from Infusionsoft. And at the time, in the first few classes of the Elite Forum program, they only accepted the top 1% in revenue from their entire Infusionsoft client base. And at that time, I think 100,000 plus active apps or whatever. I can't remember what it was. Some pretty big number, right? But so we were accepted. We were actually asked to come into it. And we applied and got accepted and went out there. And man, that 3 day, I took my vice president of operations out there with me, and that 3 day workshop, boy, it changed my world. It rocked my world. It actually gave me the leadership framework that I had been so desperately trying to find for years. And it all starts with your vision, mission, purpose, core. Okay, we all know, anybody who's ever built a company past $1 million understands you must have that in place. And then it's going to start with your KPIs and your leadership and your communications and all of that fun stuff. And so we had to take them from other leaders that we respected and then adapt them to actually work for the agency model. So, we were introduced to the Elite Forum, I think it's 2013 or something. I can't remember exactly. I think it's like 2013. And it took us a couple of years of dialing these things in. We put it out there, that just does not work for us, right? And dialing it in. So it was very much a process of elimination. There wasn't like a book that had these things or these processes. Like I have a book out now, and the book scratches the surface. It's intended to be a simple guide to get a small agency started. It's not intended to get into the weeds and get into the details. But it's a great little framework. It's a wonderful little framework. But now, and then of course my coaching programs get into the details. It dives deep, and actually I'm in there with you personally, working through how to get the stuff set up for you. But none of that existed whenever we were trying to do this. So it was trial and error. And I'd like to say I was brilliant, but I was one of 4 brilliant people in the room doing it. You know what I'm talking about? And I will include me in that, but the other 3 people in that room were a lot smarter than me. I will tell you that. I'm worldly smart. They're book, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like I was worldly intuitive smart. They were like book brilliant smart, right? And so between us going and getting that the raw framework from Elite Forum, taking it back and literally dissecting the damn thing word by word almost, right? With my leadership team, we took it and built it and applied it to the digital marketing agency business model. And that took years to get right. And that's now what I coach on. I coach people on what came out of the 10 years up to that, and then of course the 3 or 4 years of me transitioning out into a board of directors role. I'm one of the few people I know of that went from the bedroom to the boardroom in a digital agency and exited successfully. So
what you described there is a lot of the reason that we have the Digital Mastermind, and we were lucky enough to manage it. It's that power of collaboration with somebody that has a better idea, and then you formulating that with your other agency partners. So I love that part of the story. I can't say enough about it. Now, you said Infusionsoft, which around that time they were the leader in marketing automation. So how do you feel about HubSpot?
Oh, love them. Yeah, no doubt about it. I love HubSpot. I mean, are you kidding me?
Open for some dirt there, but you didn't give it to me.
So. Yeah, man, HubSpot. I'll give you the only dirt that I have on HubSpot is their pricing model. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. But I have used the platform, not particularly for any of my business, but some of my coaching students have used it. And it's smooth, man. It's robust. It's a badass. I don't want to take anything away from HubSpot. They do a good job.
They really do. And they're a smart run company, just the way that they've excelled. They embrace the agency partnership side of things.
Early. They did it early too. They did it very early. Yeah. Very smart on their part.
So when you were selling your services as an agency, were you leading with solution? Were you leading with the tool? Like, what was that? Because I know a lot of agencies get hung up on a technology.
Oh my gosh. Early adopting. You know what I'm talking about? Like people, the crackhead agency owners. Every time something new comes out, the new Sumo Day deal or whatever, they will get it. They will crack out on it for 30 days and then they go on to the next shiny object. Very much caution you not to do that. Just pick a platform that you can actually hang your hat on and leave it there, okay? Because it's really not about the technology. Nobody gives a damn about the technology except for us.
Right.
Okay. Just call it what it is. Okay. The technology is the method to the goal. That's the tool, the car, whatever the hell it is you use to achieve the goal. And I swear to you, if they could achieve the goal without having to mess with all this stuff, they would do it in a heartbeat. Okay. So, how we did it was we kind of made the what I'd call rookie mistake. We did everything bespoke, and we'd talk to everybody for hours and figure out their needs and put together this long proposal. And oh my God. And so then, we start to figure out this referral partner marketing stuff, and now we're getting flooded with leads. And man, me and my sales guy, we didn't have any time to do anything other than meeting with prospects, and it consumed all of our time. And we were 2 out of the 4 leadership, so we were 2 of the leaders. By the way, when you take a leader out of the day-to-day operations, you lose up to 4 to 6 on the low end, possibly 7 to 10 employee production. The production of those employees is possibly cut in half or even almost diminished down to nothing. Okay, so understand, when you take a leader out of your organization to do skill set work or to do time consuming work that should be done in a more efficient way, or a lower tiered individual, you are really, really hurting your agency in a dramatic fashion. It's about impossible to show that on a P&L or on the bottom line, but anyone who's built a business understands that leaders keep other people moving. Okay, one leader will keep a department of 10 people moving at a higher and much more efficient pace. When you aggregate that productivity over a year, okay, it will take that department and increase the productivity of that department 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100%. So when you take the leader out, boom, that stops. So I'd caution you against that. We recognize that, and we were like, screw this. We're not doing this anymore. We're now in such demand that we're going to do this. We're going to sell a product. And actually, technically, it wasn't really a product. It's our naive first go-around at a product line. Blocks of hours. You hear it all the time. 10 hours, 20 hours, 40 hours, 80 hours, 100 hours, and 200 hours. Eventually got rid of the 200 hours because people were buying the 200-hour blocks because we gave them such a huge price discount. We realized it's hurting our profit margin. No. You can buy 100, you'll buy another one next month. That's just the way it's going to work. We're going to keep our profit margins up. So we cut the 200 out. I think we even cut it out. I think we even cut the 10 out. You had to get, anyway, whatever. And it ended up being about four of them. And so when a prospect would come on board, they're like, okay, man, great, man. All right, let's talk about all They'd go down the normal traditional path like they were used to, going through talking on the phone for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. And they'd send over a novel, a book of everything they wrote down and what they think is special and everything like that. And I would say, whoa, time out. That's not how we operate around here. Okay, so the first hour is for free. Let's go through this. Let's get it done. And I need you to tell me as much as possible. Send me over what you got. We're going to head first dive into this, and we're going to do it up. Now, after this first hour, if you want us to put together a detailed, it's not even a project plan, but a detailed proposal, precise to you with skill sets, allocating skill sets, this is your programmer, this is your designer, this is your copywriter, with precise estimates, time estimates, you're going to have to buy a block of 20 hours. That's $3,000. That's how I learned about the foot in the door discovery phase. Okay, so all the stuff that I coach on now, this is how this stuff started. In the incubator, trial by fire kind of scenario, right? And that's what we did for a couple of years. We just sold blocks of hours. If it was a really big dog, we might give them 2 or 3 hours for free, but it had to be a pretty big dog for that to happen. Normally, we would just sell them a block of 20 hours and say, we don't know how much it's going to take. It typically takes 8 to 12 hours. After that, you'll have about another 8 to 10 hours to do some implementation. We'll present to you your project plan, your proposal / project plan. Your project manager will present it to you. Your team will be there, the whole thing, right? And man, that worked like a boss, man. That was awesome. You know what I'm saying? Because here's what would happen is we'd built up our street cred so much that people knew we were the best. It wasn't if they wanted to hire us, it's if they could afford us. And we knew that. Through positioning, right? Yeah. Through having J. Conrad Levinson's testimonial, through having Clayton Mask's testimonial, Scott Martineau's testimonial, Damon John, all these huge names that had endorsed us, and nobody else in our space at that time had those level of endorsements, right? And we also used to dominate what's called the Icon Playbook, and that's the top 10 marketers of the year. At one point in time, for 3 years in a row, we had 30% of the whole damn book were our clients, right? So we were like, it's not if, it's if you can. Okay, that's the only question here. So we got a little overconfidence, but with confidence comes swagger. And boy, it worked, man. I'm just going to tell you, it worked great. So they'd pay for that first 20 hours for $3,000 or right around three, whatever. I can't remember what it was, $2,650, and then we bumped it up to like $2,950. I think it was a long time ago. I can't remember right now, but. And so then we'd put the team on it, and the team would get started. We'd have a great proposal, detailed skill sets, hours, estimates, budgets, phases, the whole thing, because we had the time to do it, right? We got paid to do it. We had the time to do it. It was right, and my clients loved it. And I mean, they loved it. By forcing them to slow down, we all sped up. And that's a lesson in business, by the way. The larger your business gets, the more you slow down, the faster your business will grow. I know that sounds insane, but just trust me on this. This is the way it works. Inverse
relationships. Yeah, it's the
really
things that create.
Yeah, it really is. It's not the way we normally. It's not the way our brain normally thinks, but it definitely is how it works in business. And so that's how we got started in the productization model. Then jump ahead, I don't know, a year or two, and then all of a sudden we had some of those referral partners, some of those influencers coming to us, wanting us to sell and implement their already pre-existing product lines that were built inside of Infusionsoft. So we became intimately involved with their product lines, and we set up all the systems and processes, and we would sell between 200, 300, 400 apps a year, selling real estate, automation, CrossFit automation, dentists. Dentists never really took off for us, but we had 3 or 4 of them. And man, we sold the hell out of apps like that. And as a result of selling those apps, a percentage of those, 10, 20% of those would come back and get advanced services, right? On top of our normal business development efforts. And so that's kind of how we solved that. I mean, you can't get bogged down in the proposal process. You have to have a product line that you can sell to prospects that's value-based pricing, okay, that you can generate proposals. My students generate their proposals in 15 minutes to an hour. The hour one is a huge, a $75,000 to a $200,000 proposal. Okay, and most of the time, if they're that big, you sold them a $5,000 discovery, so you really get into the nitty gritty. But sometimes you can get one that big to pop. Most of the time you can't. You got to go through discovery. But normally you
don't use the language proposal though around it though, right? Do you say like, hey, it's going to cost you 20 hours, $5,000 to put together a proposal, or you use the word discovery? Okay.
Yeah, no. Actually, on the 20 hours, this is like an order form link. Process this, we'll get started. There was nothing. It was no proposal, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just, all right, if you want to do it, here's the link. Do it, okay? And you're going to find out when you got positioning and you know what the hell you're talking about, that works. Okay, now, most agencies, especially the ones getting started or even been in business for less than 5 years, they're going to have to be wooed, for lack of a better term. And I always use the sales sides. That's when you're dating. That's when you both are working out and doing your hair and putting on the tuxes and a nice black dress. Y'all working, boy. Y'all working, okay? Then all of a sudden you get married. Next thing you know, it's just flip-flops and flannels. It's pragmatic. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's wonderful. And if you're in love, she looks just as good in those flip-flops and actually, honestly, probably better in those flip-flops and flannels. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, okay? And so, but it's a much more pragmatic relationship, right? Baby, are you taking the kids to school and doing breakfast this morning instead of, hey, can we have a beer after work? Okay, so it's a different kind of relationship. So in the sales side, it's all about the black dress and the tuxedo and for lack of a better term, kind of a sales job. But when you get married, it's completely it's a whole different ballgame. So I completely just squirreled on you right there. Anyway, but at the end of the day, man, you got to have products that you can generate proposals with very, very quickly. You cannot get consumed in the proposal generation process. I hear it all the time. These smaller agencies, oh my God, I've spent 3 days this week doing 2 proposals, and I'm like, why the hell would you do that? That's the dumbest shit I've heard all day. Don't do that. You just wasted so much time. So get a product line out there. If they don't know what they want and can't present what they want in written, not brain farting all over your shirt, actually a written plan, okay? When they brain fart over your shirt, that's called a vision. A plan is when they write the damn vision down and put milestones to it, okay? So if they get on the damn phone with you and start brain dumping on you, that is not a plan.
So how do you structure them in? So let's say you set the terms in that first hour where, hey, this is how our sales process is going to go. And at the end of this hour, you're either going to purchase a discovery or not. Like what would you recommend and what would that look like?
Well, actually, typically in that first hour, man, we did nothing but roll up the sleeves and look under the hood, man. It was a true high value. Let's go take a look at your CRM. Let's go dive into your analytics. Let's really get into this and see what's going on. What are your pain points? We're really, really getting into it. And the other guy doing it and me doing it, we were two of many world-class top-tier consultants. So we can, in an hour, and I'm sure you're the same way, in an hour, you can really uncover you can really cover a lot of ground if you know where to look, right? So that first hour typically was just showing them that, oh, we're as good as everybody out there says we are, or what our brand assets say we are, because they get on the phone with us like, oh, wow, now I see why these guys have had 30% of the icon book, and I see why they got all these endorsements now. This makes a lot of sense to me now. And typically by the end of that, it's more or less, we wouldn't ask for the sale a lot of times. They would ask us, what's the next step? And we even got to that point. We wouldn't ask for the sale. We would just show them so much value, we would wait. And they will. And if you've done this, you know what I'm talking about. If you deliver so much value and you're that good, your prospects will actually ask you, how do I give you money? And that's kind of a lot of times how it worked, how it manifests itself. So then we'd send the order form, and they would say, okay, but I didn't know how this whole project's going to work. I'm like, that's what that order form link can get you. Process that order form link, and we're going to get on it right now. We're going to knock it out of the park for you. It takes about a week. Yeah, exactly. That's it. And if you don't want to do it, hey, more power to you. I've got 2 or 3 vendors in the community that we respect. We'll send you right on over there and send you right over there, and they'll take care of you. So,
all right. So if I was to dissect this, you do a super valuable hour at the start of the relationship. You give them nothing in writing. If they want any more detail based on the insights that you've provided, maybe you can call that a plan, a roadmap, whatever discovery findings, then you send them that order form. And at that point, once they fill that out, they're buying that block of 20 hours. You can knock it out in 8 to 10 hours, and then you're off and you're running.
Yeah, and sometimes it would take 20. Again, if it's a $250,000 project, sure. Sometimes it'd take 3 hours. Sometimes it's very simple. We've done this 100 times. Just regurgitate one we've already done, right? But we would try to leave a little bit of extra time on the end so we could just kind of roll straight into the project, right? No more having them purchase links, nothing like that. Okay, great. You're happy? Cool. Project kickoff meeting tomorrow at 8 o'clock. You be ready, be square kind of thing. And we roll straight into it, right? And then at that point, after that, would say, okay, we're in this. You saw the project plan requires 250 hours. Do you want to do this in blocks of 40, blocks of 100, blocks? How do you want to pay for this, right? But by that time, the project's already going. And we know they're committed. They're already going, right? And so at that point, taking the money just became, it was part of the process. It was just another line item in the task list is all it was. So.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything that I haven't covered that the world should know?
How awesome you are? Is that like if I was doing any better at life, I'd be you.
Man, I love it.
Yeah. Normally I try to do the sandwich method. You know what I mean? Oh man, you look great today, man, but you should have maybe cleaned that up a little bit. You know what I mean? Dude, if I was doing any better in this world, I'd be you. You know what I mean? So that's the sandwich method. Good, bad, great. Okay, and then at that point, they hear the bad, they get the bad, but they still think you're awesome because you ended great. You know what I'm saying? So.
I love it, man. I love it.
Anyway, so hey.
All right, and then I want to give you this space. Is there anything that you want to plug, promote? Is there anything that you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, of course, man. I'm a promoter. Of course, I got plenty to promote. So, go to marketingagencycoach.com. That is my primary, what we call TLD, my top level domain name, right? And so you can learn more about me over there. We do have 2 flagship products. I know that's contradictory. Flagship's supposed to be 1, right? But we actually have 2. One of them is my Agency Success Roadmap program. You can get that for $197 a month. It's a 6-month program. You get 2 courses a month and about 7 to 10 videos, homework assignments, and over 80 tools. So you get, for $197 a month for 6 months, you get 12 courses and over 80 tools that are guaranteed to make your life easier. Guaranteed. 100%. If you are not 1,000% happy, you just let me know. I'll refund your money. No harm, no foul. Okay? The other one, is going to be what's called my agency sales system. This product I am just brimming with pride around. This is by far the best product I have ever put out in my 20 plus year career now. And this is a true close the loop sales and marketing systems built specifically for marketing agencies that goes from harvesting leads to vetting the leads, converting the leads into like a sales meeting, tracking the sales pipeline, the actual opportunity management of it, okay? And all the KPI, real-time KPI management of it, meaning with all your revenue and everything going through it. All this stuff is on my website at marketingagencycoach.com. We also have a digital workshop for the agency sales system. That's $300, $297, $300. That'll get you a 4-day workshop that I recorded and put into a digital version, like a digital delivery kind of version. And then we have a done for you version to where we literally roll up our sleeves and knock it all out for you. We design and write all your lead magnets, all your email copy, set up the CRM, everything. It's all a done for you service. And that is $7,000. And we do require a support agreement for 6 months afterwards, of which is $697 a month. Most people stay on for years on that program because they love it, but we do require a 6 month after that because we believe in your success, and we know that if you get a system like this without the proper training and coaching, the odds on it failing is about 99%. So,
wow, awesome! You now hold the record for the longest plug. But it was a great one.
Yay! All right. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So,
no, I think it's fantastic, man. No, I love the record. Somebody has the longest record for the longest climb. So, Lee, welcome to the family. I love it.
With me being so long-winded, I'm surprised I didn't get the record on all of them.
No, man, it's fantastic. Dave, is there anything else that you would like to add here?
No, I think it was great. I can't wait to do the wrap up. There's so many things that you say that, I mean, we talk about all the time, and we're like on the same page.
Good, cool. Man, good. Like I said, man, I've looked into you guys. I love what you guys are doing. So anything I can do to help you and your community, man, just reach out and let me know. You know what I'm saying? So
awesome. Lee, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Hope you enjoyed our episode. Please subscribe and review wherever you can. And if you would like to join the Digital Mastermind, go ahead and shoot me an email at jon@digitalmastermind.com or visit us at digitalmastermind.com. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye now.